is time to talk wrap-ups for the months. It's time to set up a brand new TBR and sort out my journals for June. It is that time again where we completely reset our life and try and make some sense of this disorganization. Hi besties, it's Annie, your Bookish Chaos coordinator, and welcome back to the cozy chaos of reading with me. I need to talk to you guys about a little bit of a life update because let me just tell you, she has been chaotic in the absolute worst way. We need to set up an absolute monstrous TBR for June because do you know what? I have been DNFing books like they are going out of fashion and I need some variety in my life. So we've got a beautiful, massive TBR coming for June. I have a couple of like reading vlogs and fun little reading challenge videos coming for you guys in June and I'm so excited to get to film those. I want to know if you guys can guess what I'm going to be doing based off of what I'm talking about in this video. If you think you know, pop it in the comments down below. And to be honest, even if I'm not filming that video in June, let me know what you guys want to see because you guys know I will do it. But I think today is going to be a little bit of a long one with this massive TBR with talking life updates. So let's just get straight into the wrap up. I forgot to tell you guys about this spread in my May setup, but I've put in this A to Z reading challenge, which is for 4 stars and above only because she's an exclusive list. As you will see, the theme of June is very much functionality over pretty, and this spread kind of says the same thing. It is literally all beige, but you know what? She does the job, and I have been filling it in. I think I need to go back and pop in a few books from May. This is currently where we are at. If I could get A to Z, I think that would be amazing. This is like fresh off the press, very exclusive, not very demure. Let's go through May. So I only actually DNF'd 2 books this month. They were Jumpstart by Kayla James, which is book 2 in her Formula 1 series, and Temple of Swoon by Jo Segura, which is actually a soft DNF rather than a hard DNF. So with Jumpstart, I got to about 27% in. On the synopsis, it literally says that he's a single dad. I was at 27% and like, excuse me, where? I don't know if I just didn't get far enough for things to kind of come in. The synopsis basically says that he's the best racer on the grid and the best dad off of it, and then there's like no child for like over a quarter of the book. I don't know if I just misunderstood. And then some of the posts that I've been seeing from her Instagram, I also have misunderstood because then I saw one that said that our main girlie was meant to be a single mum as well, and I'm like, I don't understand. But I got to 27% in and there's no child anywhere, which is fine if I didn't go into it with the expectation of at least one of them was going to be a single parent. It just, their kind of dynamic really didn't work for me personally, and I know that there's a lot of people that really love this book and good for you, I'm so happy for you, but I think for me it was just like the way they kind of just like jumped straight in and they were kind of like 0 to 100. What is going on? Why are we just like losing our minds over this? It's been 5 minutes. So anyway, I couldn't really handle that one very well. And then Temple of Swoon, the reason I've soft DNF'd it is because I can see where it's going. And I did talk about this in a vlog, which I will link down below for my anticipated reads. I can see where it's going. I can see kind of like the trajectory. I can see the point. However, Miri, our main girlie, is a little bit softer. She's kind of not super confident in herself. She needs to kind of build up her own resilience really, and she's not really the kind of character that I'm really vibing with at the moment. I think she's gonna have her moment when it's time. I just don't think that time with me is right now. Oh, sorry, I also read or tried to read Wild and Wrangled by Layla Sage, which is the last one in that series. I can't remember what it's called right now. And I did actually DNF that one as well. I DNF'd it at 51%. I was really excited for this. I've loved the rest of them. They've all been like 4.5 stars. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like such a nice conclusion. And I just didn't really care about Cam and Dusty, and it does flip back and forth in timelines, which usually for me never seems to really work. I don't know why. My brain can't really handle flipping back and forth in timelines. I did appreciate that it made it really crystal clear and it was very evident where it was 15 years ago versus today. It was in italics. It literally said 15 years ago. It was like separated very well. I just didn't feel anything for them, which I think is a shame because I think a lot of people have really loved them as a pair and have been like waiting for them to get together, and I just haven't. But Sawyer by Jessica Peterson did get 3.5 stars and 4 chilies. I was a little bit disappointed by this one in this series that she's got going, just because I really enjoyed Wyatt, and I really loved, I enjoyed the first one and I really loved the second one. I think the second one was Wyatt. I can't remember, but I really enjoyed it, even though I can't remember it. This one, they are both single parents. I kind of get that 3-year-olds being toddlers are going to be difficult, and the amount that these two kids were just being awkward, and I imagine it is like a totally genuine depiction of how kids really are, it really annoyed me. It felt like both Sawyer and Clara's identities were just solely tied to their kids. They didn't really have anything outside of their kids that they really did for themselves, except for kind of get into this relationship-ish. The beginning bit was really good, where they end up having this kind of one-night stand. That was really fun, and that was kind of spicy, and I really enjoyed that. And then it's just like, when the kids got introduced, it just kind of fell a little bit flat. I think because the kids took up so much of their identities respectively, that I felt like as two main characters, they did kind of like fade into the background a little bit, and it felt like the kids were a bigger focus. And I get that that's probably just how parenting kind of is, but I was just kind of disappointed. Then we've got The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. This is my Fable book club pick for May and June, so if you are planning on reading this, go join the Fable book club down below. I do have little comments on pretty nearly every single chapter, where you could come and hang out, come respond to my funny little comments, and we can just go and have a good vibe and time over there. So if you are planning on reading this, do skip ahead a little bit. I will keep the book in shot in case you do want to skip. I rated this 5 stars, and it did get 1 chili, which I think was more just kind of the insinuation of things and the conversations that surround certain spicy things, because I don't remember there actually being anything explicitly in here. This got 5 stars. This was a stunning read. It has been a hot minute since I had a 5-star, and this absolutely blew me away. So excited by this. I love Mulan, the Disney film. I really enjoyed the remake they did. I know not everyone did, but I enjoyed it because it's just a story that I really like. So when I saw this and I saw that it was a Mulan retelling, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, sign me up. And then when you look at the author's note in the back, she says the Disney version isn't actually very true to the original version, and this is a little bit closer, which I was like, oh, interesting. Drama. I love it. So I was so excited going into this, and honestly, this blew me away. If you do go have a look at the Fable book club, you will see there are like a chunk of chapters as it like really gets into the meat of this that I didn't put any comments on, because I was just so sucked in and I was just absolutely so invested that I straight up forgot. This was absolutely stunning. I think I literally read this primarily in one day. I can't wait for the next one to come out later this year. I've already pre-ordered it, which, as you guys know, I don't do a lot of pre-orders, but this, ooh, she's a good one. I don't want to spoil it, because I think even if you weren't planning on reading this, this really should make it onto your TBR. It was so insanely good. The descriptions are amazing. The characters I just instantly connected with. There was just so many little elements of this that really just came together perfectly to make an absolutely astounding book. Then we've got The Charlie Method, which again was featured in that anticipated reads video, so I'm not going to go too much into this, but I gave this a 5 stars and 5 chilies. We follow Charlie, Will and Beckett. They are a little throuple situation. It is fun from the first page all the way through to the end. Sorry, I didn't give this 5 stars. I gave this 4.5 stars. I coloured in my bullet journal wrong, okay? I gave this 4.5 stars just because the ending kind of annoyed me a little bit, which I do go into in that video, so if you want to know all of my thoughts, please go and watch that. It is no spoilers, so don't worry if you do want to read this, but I really loved this. I loved their dynamic, and I think the key thing about this book is it doesn't feel like a group of pairs. They really are just like one cohesive unit from day dot on the page. As soon as they connect, like, they are a 3-way relationship. It is not a pair and then an extra one type vibe, which I really love. In that reading vlog, I also read Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. So again, I would save majority of the wrap up of this for that video, so if you haven't watched it, do go watch it. But I gave this 4 stars and 5 chilies. I really enjoyed this book. I know a lot of people didn't, but I really enjoyed this book. I thought the communication was great. I thought the way that they kind of dealt with checking in with each other was great. I do go into it a lot in that video and I don't really want to give too much away. Again, that is no spoilers as well. This was a diver and a swimmer, both sports that I haven't read before, both sports that I really don't know a huge amount about. I felt like we got a lot of it. Like, actually the education was somewhat secondary to their sport. So thank you Ali Hazelwood for actually giving us the correct proportion of sport in a sport romance. I do very much appreciate it. I really love this. I had a great time. I was kicking my feet, I was squealing, I was smiling, I was giggling. It was a really great time. Also, the cameo from The Love Hypothesis, deceased. I also read book 4 in the Phantom Stallion series. You guys know I've been trying to work through a reread of this series. It's 28 books long and they're republishing them, so I'm picking them up on Kindle as I go, but I've gotten to book 4, which is The Renegade, and I think this is the first book I could say that I actually remember things from. And I think that's because this book really starts to talk about certain aspects of Sam's life, and not just necessarily her little isolated life on the ranch, but it's how the whole of the community that is kind of in the wider area really kind of lets loose. They go to a rodeo and that's really the segment of this that I remember. I'm not going to spoil it in case anyone is wanting to read this, but this is a middle grade westerny type vibe. It is very much centered around Sam, who's kind of 13, 14, going through school, growing up, kind of learning about the world, learning about life and what really goes on. And I think one of the biggest things I love about this series specifically is it doesn't shy away from the realities of what it is to own animals. There is quite a moving scene in this. Again, I'm not going to spoil it. Things that are completely out of the control of humans happen, and unfortunately there are a couple of animals that get caught up in a natural disaster, and it is very sad, and you see the reality of how life has to go on around that. And even though Sam is still essentially a child, no one on that ranch treats her like it in that moment. They're like, no, you are part of this ranch, you are part of this family, you have to deal with these consequences the same as the rest of us, and you still need to pull your weight. Yes, it's sad, and yes, we all take a moment and everyone like deals with it in a different way, but life still has to go on and we still have to deal with it. And I think that's one of the biggest things I really love about this series. Also, as I've grown up, I start to realize why Dad gets so stressed when she goes off and does things. I remember like the vague feeling of reading this as a kid, and it was like, it's like, yeah, but she's fine though. And like as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, just stop, child. You're stressing your poor dad out, and it's stressing me out. And then I also read Tasting Red by Holly Roberts. Honestly, I picked this up to have a silly cozy fun time, and I did for the first 60% of it. I was having a blast. This is one of those books that I'm like, look, it does what it says on the tin. It was a 5 chilies. You could probably guess what's in this book, okay? For some reason, it low-key gave me Twilight with Spice vibes at certain points, which is kind of like a weird connection. But anyway, this is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. So you've got Red is non-magic, actually, even though she comes from a magical family. And then you've got the big bad wolf, who's more of like a wolf shifter. It kind of loosely follows the vague idea of Little Red Riding Hood in the sense of the big bad wolf goes to kill grandma. There's a lot of other things that happen in this book that I'm not going to spoil, because honestly for the first segment of this I had a great time. I did rate this 3.5 stars, and like I said, it got 5 chilies. I think from about 70 to about 85% I was like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? It was trying to do something with dropping hints and like trying to like build in like a little bit of lore and suspension, and I was like, I can see this coming from a mile away. Yeah, no, I can see that. And then it like did the reveal, and I was like, yeah, no, I saw that. I saw that at 2% in. That was obvious from the start. I mean, it was still a good time. I still really enjoyed it. I shouldn't moan too much, but this was just a really quick little read. I actually kind of liked the inclusion of Goldie, Cinder, Rap, i.e. Goldilocks, Cinderella, Rapunzel. There was a couple of other names that popped up here and there, which I will let you guys discover for yourself, but honestly, it did actually feel pretty cohesive, and I know this goes on to follow some of the other girls' stories. All in all, I had a pretty half decent time. I feel like I've sunk down as this video has gone on because I'm just like so tired. Okay, let's get some energy for this last book here. So I read All's Fair in Love and Pickleball by Kate Spencer. This is an arc, and this doesn't come out till the beginning of June. I can't remember if it's the 3rd or the 6th, something like that. I'll pop it in the description below, but I gave this 4 stars and 2 chilies. I had a great time with this book. I loved it. I was living my best life, honestly. I don't know anything about Pickleball. I didn't know Pickleball existed before I saw this book on NetGalley, so, you know, what was I gonna do? But, I mean, obviously, thank you to NetGalley and Quirkers for allowing me to read this. Like, she was good. I kind of went into this being like, oh, okay, like, what's Pickleball? Let's find out. Is this gonna be like a sports romance or is it gonna be a sports romance? And honestly, it was a sports romance. Like, there was a lot in it because basically their whole relationship focuses around pickleball. And honestly, it was great. It really worked. There's this kind of like fake dating element in it where it's kind of like off the cuff and it's like not really discussed beforehand. There's no like rules and regulations that are laid out like we normally get for fake dating books. It kind of worked. It was a vibe. I was here for it. And honestly, I had a great time. Like I said, honestly, the OAPs, the squad in this book, I'm obsessed with them. I love them. I want to be part of their book club because honestly, all they do is gossip about the local town and they don't really talk about books, and that just sounds great. I could not recommend this book more. I think the only reason it didn't get 5 stars, there was certain bits of their characters that I just felt kind of stayed a little bit unanswered, which is fine. There were certain parts about Bex's character, and I think we pretty much got everything out of Bex's backstory and Bex's character to really describe who she is, but I think there was parts of Nico's past that he just still kept really guarded, even right up until the end. I'm like, I feel like we could have got a little bit more development from you. And granted, we don't really get his POV at all through this, and I wonder if maybe if we'd have got that, that probably would have cleared up a few things, but all in all, I had a great time and I want to join that book club. I have zero interest in doing pickleball myself. I'm not a sporty girly. The book club? The gossiping? Yes. Okay, besties, let's talk journals and life updates because there are 2 new additions to this journal stack if you hadn't noticed. You guys know these 2 journals super well. We've got my reading journal and my bullet journal. Now look, they're not pretty this month, but they are functional. I mean, my reading journal is literally a list of everything that I have kind of on my TBR this month, which I will get into in a little bit. So we will talk about those in a moment, but I've literally just split it up into Kindle picks and physical picks, and I'm fully aware that this is a massive list and I'm not going to get to it. I will chat to you in a minute about that. But the bullet journal this month, like this cover spread is very plain. I am well aware she is our plain girly this month because she's giving practical, not so much pretty. And I know you can do both, but honestly, I'm kind of running out of effort to really apply to my bullet journal at this precise moment in time because everything at the moment just needs to be functional, and my brain is like, I don't care how pretty it is. It needs to do its job, and frankly, that's all she's going to be doing this month. I mean, look at this weekly spread. This is not pretty. It's just not, but it's functional. This is because I am doing a soft 75 challenge to try get my life in order. I don't know how many of you know anything about hard 75 challenges, soft 75 challenges. I knew nothing before I started hearing other people online talking about it, and I was like, what on earth is this, Mr. Google? From my understanding, which may not be correct and probably isn't 100% correct, so if anyone has done these challenges, sound off in the comments down below. From my understanding, a hard 75 challenge is like very strict, very regimented, work out twice a day, 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, stick to a strict diet, you have everything is laid out for you. My little brain, being very disorganized at the moment, is like, that sounds kind of useful, but 2 workouts a day is totally unachievable for me, and sticking to a really strict diet is also equally totally unachievable for me. Whereas the soft 75 is a little bit more do what you can, make it within reason for yourself, and so I've kind of adapted the soft 75 so it's even more Annie-fied than the usual soft 75. What I've done is why these weeklies are so ghastly and so ugly is because every single day I've literally got like a checklist. Up at 7 AM, morning social detox, drink water. That's on every single day. All of my days have slight variations in them because I also know that doing the exact same thing every day is going to absolutely murder my singular brain cell. So like on some days we've got like a weighted treadmill walk where I've got like some ankle weights that I'll walk with, or do some yoga and Pilates, or go outside for a walk kind of thing. So I've got a little bit of variation in the days, but I've done it as this kind of checklist because I know that this is going to work for me. Look, my life needs some structure right now. She's all over the place. She is chaotic in the worst sense of the word at the moment. And I thought it would be quite fun to also give myself a little bingo board. So on this, I've got like a couple of things that are very much things that I really want to do, but they're not stuff I would necessarily do on a daily basis. We've got things like kayaking, doing some more of my massive diamond painting that you guys saw a little while ago, doing like a candlelit solo movie night, so a little like self-date thing. So I've got kind of a few things there that are things I would really like to try get to. I'd like to try get to bingo, at least in one direction through these 75 days. The other thing that is on that bingo board is make a dress. And technically I've done it. I'm literally wearing it, okay? But one, it wasn't within the 75 days. And two, she's good. She's functional. She does the job. She's not great though, okay? This is the literal first time I've ever made a dress in my life. And I'm actually pretty proud of myself for it. And it was so much more fun than I'd expected it to be. So I do really want to do this again. And I have loads of fabric and stuff that I want to keep doing bits and pieces with. So that is on my bingo board. But in here you will see that I've got a couple of little project notes. So this was kind of where we started, and I did a lot of tester out of an old bed sheet. Pro tip, don't. I mean, do, because I learned a lot doing that tester, but the bed sheet fabric is so much thicker than this like linen fabric that it was like a whole different experience making out of this fabric to what I did the tester out of. But anyway, I've got like a couple of project notes. I then did my part 2, and I've got like some changes to make. So it was like all of the adjustments and things that I needed to make, and then my little wrap up project notes in the bottom here, which is where it brings me nicely onto my next journal, which is this lovely little number. So we've got this beautiful sage green with the little moon. You know that she had to fit in with the vibe, but this is my sewing journal. Because this is something that I very much am invested in doing now, I thought it would be really good for me mentally to have a separate place to record all of this stuff. So obviously I don't have enough room in that journal to be putting loads of project notes and bits and pieces for sewing and such, so I picked up a new journal. We've got a little note here about previous products, which I need to take some photos of this dress to put in the bottom here, but then I've just done a couple of mood boards. You guys know I love a good mood board. Instead of it just being like a dump of pictures, what I've done is I've put little notes next to a whole bunch of these pictures of things that I particularly like. So it's like the fitted length, flared skirt, different lengths of things. So we've got like dresses, skirts, co-ord sets, tops, trousers, and then entire outfits that I really liked, and then we've got some key elements here. So I think this is just going to be really helpful to me when I'm thinking about doing more sewing projects. Obviously it's on my bingo board, but when I'm doing more projects, knowing where my head's at and being able to look at stuff and not just looking at what other people have made online going, oh that's super pretty, I'll make it, like actually referring to this and going, could I see myself wearing it? If it's not in the mood board, if it's not in the key elements section, if it doesn't align with this journal realistically, then I won't be making it because I'm probably not gonna wear it. And then the final part of my Annie version soft 75 is journaling. Just kind of not necessarily as like a true mindfulness thing, just as more of a, this holds so much information and there's only ever one brain cell that clocks in for work every morning, and even then it's not every morning. I need to make some mental space. I've got this beautiful like witchy-esque notebook which I love, and it's of course in my favorite B5 size, and I've got so much space to just mentally get out everything that I'm holding on to that I don't necessarily need to hold on to, even if it's just things like a brain dump of everything that went wrong that day, or here was my dream that I had last night, and just kind of letting go of so much information from my brain I think could be really helpful. So I kind of allocated 2 days a week to journaling. So yeah, this notebook stack, guys, is kind of getting a little bit out of control. Like, who seriously needs 4 notebooks other than my disorganized self, right? But this is where we are at. So I'm doing the soft 75 challenge. I'm really hoping that it is gonna help in some way, shape or form. I don't know what that's gonna look like yet, but come along for the ride. Because I'm starting this a little bit before June, which is why this bit is being filmed way before anything else. I will end kind of at the beginning of August. When we do our August wrap up and our September reset, you know I will spill all the tea for you guys. So a like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so that you know when to come back for that video, because I will be telling you everything. That one is probably gonna be a long one. But let's move on to the TBR. Okay then, besties, it's a new day and we need to talk about TBRs. Now, I know that the amount of books I've put on this TBR list is incredibly ambitious and quite literally impossible. I have been feeling so disorganized lately, and where I just kind of want to bring everything into a little realm of organization, I know that my mood reading is absolutely going to rear its ugly little head and is going to absolutely throw everything out the window. So I've tried to pick a little bit of a selection of things, okay? Alright besties, let's start with the Kindle list. So the first book I have is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House. Now I'm really excited for this. I've loved the other two books that I've read in the Dream Harbor series. I mean, granted, they haven't really been 5 stars for me, but like I've really enjoyed them all the same. I haven't read the Christmas Tree one because I didn't quite get my butt in gear around Christmas time to read it, and we're coming into summer, so it's like absolutely the wrong time. So I'm saving that one for myself. I'm so excited for this one because it's got single dad, forced proximity, slow burn, found family, some of my absolute favorite tropes. I think this is going to be like a super cutesy, fun, cozy time, and honestly, I think I'm going to need this as a palette cleanser next to some of the chonker books we have this month. Next up, we have Pole Position by Rebecca Caffrey. This is an MMF1 sports romance. Now look, I'll be totally honest with you guys, books that are in the queer space that feature queer characters aren't really something I've read too much of. The only reason of I am not educated enough on what is out there. So I'm trying to make a change, okay? Because I think that everyone deserves love in whatever capacity that looks like. And you know what? As I've said before, I love love and everyone deserves love. And that's just the end of it. But you guys also know I'm an absolute sucker for a sports romance. And if it's F1, which has kind of been my 2024 new find, you know I'm gonna be here for it. This one is also enemies to lovers, grumpy sunshine, and a little bit more forced proximity. Need I say any more? Like, these tropes are just absolutely ticking my boxes. We've also got Structural Damage by Sloane Spencer, which is a MMF 3-way relationship, and this is something that I read a little bit recently in one of Elle Kennedy's new books, and I really loved it, and I loved the fact that that dynamic specifically was very much a cohesive unit. So I've got good hopes for this. And look, your girl's just trying to broaden her horizons, so let's get into this polyamory situation. So one thing this does say on the little synopsis that Kindle gives you is to please check the trigger warnings on the author's websites, so you know when we come to do that, we will do that. But if this sounds interesting to you, please go check out the trigger warnings yourself, because as much as we love, we love being informed about our books. So we've got Revved Up and Ready by Jasmine Grace. Now this does say in the bottom corner, a spicy romantic comedy, and I think I'm going to need space to give a little bit of a giggle this month, honestly. You can see on the cover right here that our main guy has a lot of tattoos and some sort of motorbike. I'll be totally honest, I know nothing about motorbikes, but I think this could be kind of fun. So this says it's spicy, it's fake dating, we've got a little bit of a sports romance in here, we've got a make the ex jealous. There's only been a few books I've read that have had the storyline of make the ex jealous, and you know they have served. So Revved Up and Ready, please get ready to serve me. Then we've got Rare Blend by Michelle Naomi Mosley. So this is a little bit more small town, it's a little bit cozier, and it's all on a wine farm, which look, I'm more of a gin girly than a wine girly, but you know, at the same time, I'm here to broaden my horizons vicariously through characters every single day. We've also got Full Hard by Jade Church, which I've only just realized is actually book 2 in a series, but they're interconnected standalones, so I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a pass on this one. But this is a sapphic romance. There's also got this kind of found family, comedy, banter type vibes in it, but it's also set in a university, I think, which might also equally be a small town. It seems like a load of fun. I feel like I'm gonna have a load of fun, and it's just gonna be a cute, funny, cozy time. And the last Kindle pick we have today is Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This is book 2, following on from Phantasma, which I will be totally honest, I didn't obsess over it, and I was a little bit nervous going into this, which is why it's been on my Kindle for a hot minute, but I have yet to actually get there. However, 2 of my very good friends have turned around and said that I absolutely have to read this because they are absolutely gagged and need to talk to me about it. So I guess I'm under court order to read it now. Alright besties, let's talk about some physical books, because like I said, said, this is a completely unachievable TBR, but you know, I'm trying to throw in some variety here and there. So first up, we've got Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. I don't even remember when I picked this up. Honestly, I don't remember if this was gifted to me or I even bought it myself. I don't know, but this has been on the TBR cart for a little while, and honestly, she's just been kind of sitting at the back minding her own business. But honestly, this sounds so dang good. I literally only found out a few weeks ago that actually this is also set in a queer normative world. So, you know, this fits in with my vibe of expanding my horizons, educating myself more, and hey, if it's good, you guys have got another rec. We have the fourth book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. This is continuing on my reread because I have all of the Trials of Apollo books now, and yet I need to reread these because your girl can barely remember what was going on. So we've got House of Hades. We are continuing on following Perkabeth, Nico D'Angelo, Piper, Leo, Jason, Coach Hedge, Frank, Hazel. We've got a whole big group, but I am going to slowly be working my way through this series because your girl needs to get to the stuff that is published that I haven't read. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Now, for those of you who have been here for a hot minute, you will know that when I first read Funny Story by Emily Henry, I was convinced it was actually this book. And my one singular brain cell got herself really twisted and tied up in knots. So I'm finally going to get round to reading this book. I am so excited to read this because this just seems so funny, silly, and I feel like with all of these fantasy books, with all of the stuff going on the Kindle, I'm gonna need something that's like guaranteed to have me giggling. This feels a little bit Fated Mates, and also this kind of like forced proximity fake dating vibes. You know I'm gonna eat this up. The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. I have been meaning to pick this book up since I first knew that it published at the end of last year, and I have finally got here. Every single Erin A. Craig book has absolutely slapped for me, and I'm expecting this to be absolutely no exception. I know that summer is not spooky scary times, but I cannot wait another single second to dive into this book. You guys know I don't tend to read the little quotes on the back from other people, but I have to say this one from Mara is 100% correct. All hail the Queen of Gothic Fantasy, Erin Craig at her very best. Serve my queen. So I've got a sports romance in the F1, which I've read before. We've got a motorbike sports romance, which is kind of new to me. So what else was I going to do apart from throw on tennis, which is another new sport for me to read? I know what tennis is, okay, don't look at me like that, but I've never read it in a book, right? It's tennis, it's summer, it's Wimbledon, it's strawberries and cream, like do I need another excuse? And last but certainly not least by the weight of this book, we have House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. I have read this before. I've actually read this twice already, but me and my friends are going through a full SJM read through and still pining for a release date on book 6 of ACTA. I'm waiting, but I am the only one that has currently read all of the Crescent City series, so you know I'm going to reread this with them. The way that we do our little besties book club is we actually only read up to a certain chapter every 3 weeks so that it's just manageable with everyone's life, and then we sit around and chat about it over a cup of tea or whatever we want to drink. So I've actually only got to finish chapter 24 in the month of June because the 3 books are going to take us literally to the end of the year. So you're going to be seeing this book for a hot minute, as well as the other 2 that are still on the shelf. And that is everything on my ridiculously overambitious TBR. I literally don't think it is even vaguely feasible for me to read all of these books. There are 13 books on this list, okay? On average, I get through about 8 a month. I would have to literally not sleep to get through every single one of these books. But what else am I supposed to do with my ridiculously uncoordinated life, an overflowing TBR shelf, a Kindle wish list that is just growing every single day, than just completely drown myself in books? Okay, besties, that is a wrap on dealing with everything from last month, setting up for the new month. Someone is mowing their lawn or something outside, I don't know. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with me. Sound off in the comments down below if you have read any of the books I talked about this month. If you have, let me know in the comments down below, what did you rate them? If they are on your TBR, let a girl know. And if there's anything that needs to be on my TBR for next month, you guys know what to do. I love a good rec. Tell me why I gotta read it. Tell me why it's your favorite. Tell me why I need it on my TBR literally like yesterday. But anyway, thanks so much for coming to hang out. All of my links in the description down below. Come hang out with me on Instagram. Come hang out on the Fable book club because you know that's going to be a good time. If you have any ideas of what we we should be reading for July, do let a girly pop know, because we are going to be picking a new book for July and August. I feel like spreading the book over 2 months is going to be the way forward. That gives people time to deal with life as well as read a really fun book together. Anyway, I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing Cozy Chaos day and your next read is a 5-star. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!